Hey, Luke, could you talk us through the play and how it developed and you got open on the touchdown pass?
Oh yeah, it was a great scheme. We've been running 12 and 13 Falcon, which is our inside zone play, the whole game, right? The whole game. So then the pass play off of that is what I ended up scoring on. So it's just the ability to run the ball, really just opens up a play like that where a safety gets lazy eyes, peeks in the backfield, and then before you know it, I'm right down the hash wide open. So I mean, it was just our ability to run the ball, which is what opened up the post route.
What does it mean having a quarterback like Blake when you know when you run a pattern like that he's going to put it on the money to you?
hmm It's repetition. We do it every day in practice, and Blake, he very rarely ever misses that. So, as soon as I saw the middle of the field open, I just knew that ball was coming. Blake, he throws a perfect ball. He puts it with a lot of touch. He puts it in the right spot. So, it was huge just knowing that. As soon as I saw the field, I know Blake saw the field as well, and I knew that ball was coming.
And how cool was it in the same game to have Cody break one too?
hmm Yeah, no, it's exciting. I like to say our offense is very explosive. We have a lot of explosive plays. We have that ability to be explosive. So, to everyone on offense, it's not a surprise that we're able to get things going like that. It's just a credit to how well we run the scheme, how the credit to how Coach Carter calls the plays, and we're just going out there and performing what we've been practicing out on these fields, day in and day out. So it's exciting stuff, really. Of
Thanks a lot.
course, thank you.
Oh, we're going three questions each, and then that way we can come back around to you for another set of questions. Gary Lambrick.
Hello there, Luke. Nice to talk with you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes, sir.
Okay, I couldn't hear you. I'm doing a piece on Kent, and I want to get some of your thoughts on your interactions with him as a teammate. Obviously, you guys vie
Mhm.
and compete at the same position.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that angle first? Just how much of your development, of course, Coach Akitis is all over that, of course, your coordinator and so on.
Mhm.
But how much does Nathan, with his experience, how much do you hear his voice, and especially as a younger guy, and just kind of learn the position through him that way a little bit?
Right. Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think you said it best. Learn the position through him. Coach Okaitis is big on player-driven teams, right? He's like the best teams are going to be player-led, and I think Nate hits that on the tee. He has taken leadership and control of the receiver room. And it's not always the plays on the field, it's what he does off the field. He's on top of all the stuff. If you have a question about the plays, Nate's your guy to go to. He knows what's going on. He knows the ins and outs. Like you said, he's had a lot of experience playing football too, which for me, which was huge, because I don't know if you know, but I played quarterback in high school. So my sophomore year playing receiver was my first time ever playing receiver. So there was countless nights. He was my roommate too when we would travel. So there was countless nights where we were just talking receiver stuff, because it was also new to me. So just being able to watch him in practice, we all know he has an elite speed, and I like to say I have elite speed too. So find ways to get your speed used on the football field. That's what I've learned a lot from him. And also I can't say enough of how good of a dude he is. He's a great dude. He's someone he's always there for you if you need it. And he's one of the most genuine people I've ever met.
Is it when you're sort of taking reps in practice, whoever's with the ones and the twos, is there a lot of, commentary, just little things maybe that he might interject and say, you got to round that route, you got to round that cut a little sharper, you got before the coach even gets to scream in his ear.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we have a play where I'm supposed to line up here and I'm a yard off, Kent will 95% of the time be the first one to say, "Hey, Hutch, widen out a little bit," or "Hey, Hutch, tighten down." Or if we have like a new install and it's our first time running the play, they would be like, "Hey, remember you have this, remember you have that." It's just taking on that leadership role, and it doesn't always have to be physically like on the field. Just also like in the meeting rooms, he's making sure everyone knows what's going on. Because we say like the ability to play fast, you have to know what you're doing, right? And you have to be confident in what you're doing. So our receiver room, we have a lot of speed in that room, but the speed doesn't mean much if you're not knowing what's going on upstairs mentally. So we take a lot of pride in that, and Nate is on top of all of that stuff.
How about his existence there as a guy that's headed for 12 letters, two
Mhm.
sports?
Yeah.
What's that experience like, especially in the spring when I know you see him in meetings, but
Mhm.
there's no Nathan on the field? Was that weird like the first year? Like, where is he? Is he coming today?
Yeah.
But I mean, talk about that angle of his
Uh-huh.
impressive days as a midshipman.
Yeah, I think that's all the credit to him. Like you mentioned, during the spring when all of us are out practicing, he's doing a whole different sport. And just his ability to then in the fall come and practice and play football when he was just doing track for the past 6 months is impressive. There's not very many people out there that could do what he does and do it at the level that he does it. He's never once used, oh, I was just at track as an excuse. He's never once uttered, he really doesn't even utter the word track when it comes to football at all. Because when he's in this building, he's a football player, and he's a dang good one too. So he's on top of all of that stuff, and he doesn't let his track life and his track success come over into the football room because he knows when he's coming over here, he's a football player.
Thank you
Thank you.
much, Luke.
Of course, thank you.
Wags.
So just talk about when you're that wide open, and it's going to be a touchdown if you catch the ball. How you get a little nervous about making sure you don't get the dropsies.
Yeah, that's what they say. The hardest balls to catch are the ones where you're wide open. And yeah, I knew it as soon as I took my second step that I was going to be wide open. And then I looked up and I saw that ball in the air, and I could have sworn that ball was in the air for like 20 seconds. So I just saw that ball in the air. I was like, all right, let's catch it and just run. Because I know once I caught it, no one was going to catch me. So it's certainly something to think about, but we rep it 1,000 times in practice, and we're all confident in our abilities. So once I saw it in the air, I knew it was going to be a touchdown.
So we talked to Coach Cronick and to Blake about, I was asking what did the receivers have to do to get more targets, and they said they have to earn our trust. They have to earn Blake's trust. How much does that big play go a long way to earning that trust?
I would like to say a lot, and I don't think it's just a one-time thing. I think consistency is the biggest thing, especially in sports. And like I mentioned before, it's all about what we do on the practice fields, because you practice how you play. So I think the more important reps and the most important consistency is out on the practice field. And I think the X position has done a really good job of that. So, we're really excited for the season and what's been going on so far, and then building on that as well.
Can you talk about what you did to earn the starting job? Obviously, Nathan was the returning starter, but here you have taken the job and earned that. Can you talk about what you did in preseason to get to that position?
Yeah, I think it just came with confidence. Like I mentioned before, my sophomore year was my first time playing receiver. So just over the offseason, I just really did what a receiver does in the offseason. Run countless routes, catch countless balls, put myself in positions where a receiver has to succeed, so just countless hours on the jugs, always running routes. And I think it's also a credit to our receiver room in general. Nate helped me a lot over the offseason on what I needed to improve on. Past seniors like Corey Myers, he's helped me a lot with my route running. So I think it's more of just what the room provides and the environment we have in the room. Yes, I may be the starter, but none of us really look at it like that. We all just look at it as if we all have a piece to play and we're all going to get to play, and let's just go out and do our best job whenever we are playing.
Nolan.
Luke, going off that, you're saying you all have a piece to play. You ran a lot of dual threat and read option at McNeil High School.
Mhm.
How do you think that gave you an appreciation for the importance of your blocking on the edge? Because as you know, playing quarterback, that's the difference on some plays from a 5-yard gain and a touchdown.
100%. As a quarterback, there's a lot of plays where it's like you said, dual threat, where I'm running out wide like a quarterback stretch play, and the corner barely nicks me on my ankle because maybe the receiver can hold the block. So just getting that perspective in terms of the run game, but also when it comes to passing. As a quarterback, like I understand when there's a 6'5", 270-pound defensive lineman in your face, that ball might not be perfectly on your numbers. So just being able to understand that kind of gives me a different mindset when it comes to what I'm expecting from my quarterback. But it also gives me a great ability to see the field. Like I played quarterback for 8 years growing up, so I've been able to understand defenses and see what's coming. So as a receiver, yeah, you're kind of looking at different keys, but it all kind of blends into one because at the end of the day, it's still football. So it definitely allows the game to be slower because I feel like I have a better picture of what's going on.
And one thing I really liked from the press conference on Saturday is we only got to hear one response from you, but it came after both Alex and Blake, they'd answered some questions. This one was open-ended, and they said, let Luke take it. And they pointed to you and they told you to go ahead. When you have teammates that make sure that you get yours, how does that motivate you?
Oh, it's the best thing ever. This place is truly different. Blake and Alex, like those are two friends of mine, and we can say it about everyone on the team. Like we all know each other. You know what I'm saying? And Blake and Alex, I'm sure that we all know that wasn't their first press conference. That wasn't their first interview. So just knowing that that was my first opportunity to be in front of the cameras after the game, and letting me get a shot at that was really sweet of them. And it's no surprise to me that they did that because that's just the type of dudes that they are.
And lastly, from me, Luke, you make this transition in your athletic journey from quarterback to wide receiver. Do you think that if you went someplace else, you would have had the wherewithal to do it, or it's unique to do it here because, you're wired to do things for the best of the whole rather than just yourself?
hmm Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's two parts to it. When I was recruited out of high school, I kind of knew I was a dual threat. I knew I was an athlete. I knew there was probably going to be a high likelihood that I played a different position. But I think coming here gave me the appreciation of getting to play the position. You know what I'm saying? Because some people might be like, oh, receivers don't get the ball much at Navy. Why would you want to do that? But to me, it's so much bigger than that. And that's what this place has taught me. Because in our room, we don't care who gets the ball. We don't care who scores the touchdown. We just care that we win. Because winning's fun and winning brings everyone together. And just when you have off seasons like we do, you have fourth quarters, you have grueling winters and just practices together, like that builds a bond that you don't really find anywhere else where if one person succeeds, we all succeed. So it's this place has definitely gave me appreciation for the position.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thought it was also cool the locker room reaction when I called your name as well, that you were going to the press conference. There was a lot of guys excited for you.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Wyatt Kopelman.
Hi, Luke. So this is Coach Cronick's second year leading the offense. From your perspective as a member of this offense, which seems to have a ton of potential even through the first two games of this season, what are the biggest things you've seen develop in the system from last season to now?
I think we've been able just to build on what we did. Kind of the whole offseason, we were saying last season is last season, right? And I think so far through one conference game, we know the job's not finished. The job's barely just started. But I think we've been able to build on what we did last year and switch things up. I think there's a lot of different weapons we have on offense, and we just try to look for ways we can utilize that in different ways. So I just think that we've all gotten more comfortable in the offense, like you said. It's our second year going into it. So I just think we all feel a little more comfortable in the offense. We see the bigger picture. We don't just know our position, we know other positions now. So that kind of allows us to see that big picture. And when we're out on the field, we're keying things, right? Like if a safety comes over too much or if a safety doesn't rock down fast enough, we can now come to the sideline and be like, hey, coach, what do you think about this? Where last year it was kind of like, okay, we know our job, we know kind of what other people are doing, but we don't really see the big picture. I just think now another year in the offense allows us to see that bigger picture.
Can you give an example of where you've seen and felt the growth the most? I mean, you talk about noticing certain tendencies or positioning of safeties, even linebackers, whether it's in the passing concepts or even the timing with Blake, how confident guys are lining up. Is there something that you can point to, whether it was the UAB game as you guys faced a back and forth battle, or is there even a different point?
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple just off of my head. I mean, just off the play I scored alone. We saw that safety was flying down with motion, which teams often do when we motion that safety will rock down. But he was rocking down and he wasn't even keying the split end, the X receiver. So we were like, okay, we know we're going to have that. And also, we put more on the quarterback. The quarterback now is able to make multitude of checks at the line, which was last year, which we did make some checks at the line last year, but now the whole playbook is open at the line of scrimmage essentially for Blake. So just yeah, seeing different defenses and understanding our roles and our responsibilities allows us to get in the perfect play for whatever the defense throws at us.
And Coach Newberry mentioned earlier this week how much Tulsa creates problems schematically on both sides of the ball. What do you think this matchup will tell you and the offense about its potential now that conference play is fully underway?
Yeah, I mean conference play. That's just the biggest thing. Conference play. No matter who you're playing in the conference, it's a conference game. So it tells you like the grit of your team. Like schematically, yes, they pose some challenges. And we saw with UAB a little bit of adversity hit at once. And that's what we've been saying all week. What are we going to be when adversity hits? And that's what happens in conference games. You're not always going to beat a team 52-7 like we did against VMI. You're going to be in a position where you might be down, 2 scores. But that adversity is really the biggest thing you learn about a team through these conference games. So, I think we're going to handle it just fine, adversity, whenever it may come. But that's definitely something we're speaking about a lot, day in and day out of practice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go back around. Scott Wyckoff.
What was it like for you when you made your first travel team, when you realized that you're going on the road with the team? And do you see the same reaction to your younger teammates now that are going out on this first road trip?
Oh, it's so exciting. I remember last year we were a senior heavy room. And I was I was the only sophomore that traveled, so the seniors had traveled before. Nathan Kent had traveled before. So I was the first one in the room who hadn't traveled, so they'd like jab at me a little bit, trying to tell me, oh, we got to be here, we got to be there, and kind of just mess with me a little bit, all in good fun. But I just remember how excited I was, because this is what you come to do. You come play the Division I sports. You're on the road, you're getting on the plane, you're getting on the tarmac, and you see people escorting you, and it's surreal. It's a surreal moment. And I think this year I'm really excited for the guys because our room is not senior heavy like it was last year. We have a lot of young guys. Like Kendall Evans is going to get his first opportunity to travel. Joshua Guerin didn't really get to travel too much last year, so he's getting an opportunity. So I'm just really excited for those guys because I just know how excited I was, and I'm sure they're going to feel the same way.
You're talking about the grittiness and toughness of conference play. Did you learn last year that it takes it up even more, another notch, when you're playing in the conference on the road?
Yes and no. I mean, the brigade of midshipmen is strong. You're going to hear them when you score. You're going to feel them when you get a first down. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just football. I don't like to make football something that it's not. At the end of the day, it's a game, and it's a game we've been playing our whole lives, right? So I don't really like to let outside noise affect my play on the field. And I think a lot of the guys on the team feel the same way. So yeah, the locker rooms might not be what you're used to. The field might not be what you're used to. But at the end of the day, it's just football.
When you guys go out on the field, you grew up around a Division I program in Austin. Did that help you kind of solidify in your mind what you wanted to do growing up and seeing that level of football to aspire to?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Like I said, it was my dream to play Division I football, playing in front of fans, playing the game that we all love, But I knew for a fact just football in itself. I knew from when I was a young age, that's what I wanted to do just because of what it means to be on a team. So just from that aspect, I knew I wanted to play football. And then, like you said, being from Austin, getting to go to University of Texas games, seeing 100,000 fans plus in the stadium, it's surreal, So now I'm getting a piece of that, and it's been everything that I could ever dream of.
Have a good trip.
Thank you.
This will be Tim Nolan's first road trip, so you can give him a hard time, Luke.
Okay, I will.
Gary Lambrick. Gary, you still there? Oh, he's gone. Bill Wagner.
After the VMI game, Coach Cronick was very praiseworthy of Josh Guerin's blocking. Can you talk about how Josh has earned a role for himself with that as kind of being a calling card?
Yeah, Josh also loves to play football. That's what we say about him. He just loves playing football, and he understands his role, which I'm not saying his role is blocking, but he understands what the team needs. And against VMI, that calling card was blocking, and he's done a superb job at it. He continues to do a good job of it in practice. But don't sleep on his ability to run routes because Josh is a football player, and he's a dang good one. So we're excited to see what he has in store because we know there's some big plays coming for him.
Back in the spring, the wide receiver on the field in uniform was thin. Were you limited during spring ball, if I recall?
I was a little bit, yeah.
And Kent wasn't around because he was doing track, and I think some other guys were missing. But it gave guys like Josh and Kendall and Casey Smith an opportunity, and now the room looks a little deeper, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, we have 4 guys that can go in and play any snap, which is great, especially at the receiver position. We like to be fresh. because we like to wear out those DBs with our blocking, with our running routes, with our just getting in their heads, because DBs don't come out the game as much as receivers do. So that's something that we take on and we take pridefully. It's just wearing out those corners, wearing out safeties. And just whenever we're in the game, we know we can give 110% because we know our backup can come in and do the job just fine.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Tim Nolan.
Luke, I know that Round Rock to Tulsa is a bit of a trip, but do you have any friends, family who are going to be making the visit to Chapman Stadium?
I unfortunately do not. No, I have family coming up for the Air Force game. And then when we play North Texas in Denton, that's when my family's going to come up to that one.
How much has the success that your brother Winston continues to have at Trinity push you and your continued growth here at Navy?
Yeah, I mean it's everything. We've been competitive for the longest time. I'm sure many people who can relate who have an older brother, especially in sports. I'd always play up with him. I'd always play against his friends. I'd always play against him. Um, and now that he just finished his last year of college football, but he had a lot of success at the running back position. So it's just been great. I'll have a day where I'm not feeling the best. I'm like, man, my body's banged up, and I'll just text him about it. He's like, newsflash, buddy, I feel the same way. We got to get to work. So, it's great having someone who maybe at a smaller level, but still has done the same things that I'm doing. So it's been great, and I'm blessed to have him.
And what's it like for you internally, going back to, the touchdown, the success you had this past Saturday? You know that going to this Tulsa game, you might not see a single target, and that's just the way
Mhm.
this offense works. How do you find that balance of understanding that you're doing what's best for the team, but you can be a weapon when called upon?
I mean, I love it. I just think, like I said, that's what this place has taught me. As long as offensively we're moving the ball and we're scoring and we're winning, I truly don't care if I get a target because I see blocking just as important as a target. A 63-yard touchdown is the equivalent of making a block on the edge that leads to a 63-yard rushing touchdown. So we don't really get caught up in the statistics of the game at the receiver position because we understand our role and we don't do it for the flashy moments. We do it just to get wins. So as long as we're winning, as long as offensively we're doing good, we're as happy as can be.
Thanks, Luke. Take care of me on the road trip.
Thank you.
Wyatt Kopelman.
Hey, so kind of going off of the relationship that you've built with somebody like Blake in this offense and what it means to contribute in any way possible for the better success of the offense each week. How long has it taken you and Blake to build that kind of timing connection? And is it something that you notice is still a work in progress?
It's certainly always a work in progress, because the moment that you're satisfied with something is the moment that you stop growing. So I think it's still it's still growing in process, but at the same time, we rep it every day in practice, and it's just football. If the game calls for us to get 10 targets, cool. If the game calls for us to get one big play when we're down in the fourth quarter and I haven't touched the ball all game, yet they need me to go run a post route to win the game, we're ready to do it because that's what we've been doing in practice. So we don't, like I said, we don't really get caught up too much in the moment of, okay, hey, it's third quarter and I haven't gotten a touch, or hey, it's third quarter, I've gotten 10 touches. Like, to us, it's just football. You know what I'm saying? Because we get the same at the receiver position, we get the same amount of juice blocking someone and putting them out of bounds or putting them on the tail than we do from catching a 63-yard touchdown. So, and that's just the environment of our room. We'll come back to the sideline, watch on the iPad. We had a play against VMI where JG put his guy on the turf. And we all got really excited about that as if he had just scored a touchdown. So I think that's just a credit to our room and the environment that we built in that room due just to Coach Yokitis, Nathan Kemp being a great leader, where we don't, like I said, we don't get too involved in the statistics of the game.
Did you ever imagine having the chance to play in an offense alongside a quarterback as talented and efficient as Blake, but then it has running backs and offensive line that's as devoted as he is to leading this team?
Yeah, it's awesome. It is truly awesome. This place is special. You have 11. I couldn't even say 11. You have 200 guys plus that are committed and all have the same mindset. So it's not just the starting offensive lineman. It's just not the starting quarterback. It's everyone in the program who believes in the way that the 11 starters believe. So it's great. It truly is special, and it makes coming to work, it makes coming to play football easy, and it makes it fun, which is the most important thing, because football is a game and it's a fun one. So just going out there with the boys, having fun, doing our job, kicking tail, getting dubs, that's what's fun. So, it's been great.
What do you find yourself continuing to learn from not only somebody like Blake, but Heidenreich, everybody else who continues to contribute within this offense. It seems like it's a game of inches, but then at times it gets away from the numbers and the major plays, and it's just about leading together on the field. What do you find yourself continuing to learn from everybody?
Yeah, I think our senior class really has done a great job with the mindset of 1-0. Um, like each play is its own play. You can't let the past play dictate what's going to happen in the future. And I just think that's something that's helped me a lot. And that's something I've been growing on. It's just the mental aspect of the game, because everyone can, I wouldn't want to say everyone, but people who can go out there and you know what route you have, right? You know your abilities, you're confident in your abilities. But if you're not in the right headspace, or if you're thinking about last play, or you're thinking about maybe a play that's to come, you're not in the moment on that play. So just staying in the moment and truly being 1-0 is something that I found myself working on, and I find myself saying before every play, just go 1-0, win that play.
Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
Luke, why did you choose Navy? What made Navy stand out during your recruiting process?
The prestige of this institution is second to none. I have nephews and nieces that are younger than me, and just being someone that they can look to and be like, oh, look at Uncle Luke, look what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? That's something that truly is special to me. Family special to me. I'm the first one in my family to be in the military, which is awesome to me. And just doing something that not everyone's doing. Doing something that's not easy, doing something that's hard, but it's all worth it in the end. So just knowing that I'm doing something that's also bigger than myself is kind of what brought me to Navy, because I could have go played ball somewhere else in Texas, been closer to home. My mom might have liked that a little bit better. But this place truly has taught me countless lessons that I'm just continuing to learn to this day. And it's changed me as a man. So, I'm blessed and thankful that I got the opportunity to come here.
And then how's Coach Yokitis helping your development? I mean, he's a guy that played your position in a triple option offense. Where I think when he played, we called them wide blockers because they got a lot less passes. And then, went 4 years here, graduated, served in the Marine Corps. Just the overall
Mhm.
package that he brings to your room.
Yeah, I think it's not just football, it's outside of football. And I think the best way that I can relate it to someone who hasn't gotten to truly experience Coach Yo is, like I said, the pride we take in our blocking. And I just think that's a life lesson, because some other schools, some other people might not think blocking on the perimeter is as important as we view that it is. But that's just life. Anything that you're doing, do it to your best ability. And that's just the biggest thing that Coach Yo just tries to teach us about is don't have do anything. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna do it, give it your all. And that's something that he's been great about. To start every meeting, it's rarely the first words out of his mouth are rarely about football. It's about life. So that's something that he does a great job of. Is he develops us as men, but also when it's time to do football, we do football, and he's a dang good coach at football.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone have anything else with Luke for Luke? All right. Thanks a lot, Luke. Great job.
Thank you guys.